Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk about the 5 reasons that therapy, and often years of therapy, failed my clients. And I wonder if this sounds familiar to you. You know, you spend years in therapy shelling out thousands of dollars thinking you're doing exactly what you need to do to recover from a lifetime of toxic relationships and partners. But after years, you still feel like a failure, and you're still asking yourself, what's wrong with me? And wonder why it hasn't worked. And even though you're exhausted from all the talking about your problem, the years of talking about your problems, you just can't seem to break the pattern of attracting people into your life who hurt you, take advantage of you, and emotionally just drain you dry. And now you're starting to fear it's too late and you're a bit of a lost cause. So many women say that to me. And in my opinion, there are 5 reasons. Well, there's probably more, but today I'll give you 5 reasons why traditional counseling or therapy, in my opinion, has failed them. The first is couples therapy. The first step many couples take when they're in these relationships or women take, is to encourage their partner to have couples therapy, because they're trying to fix the relationship and save the relationship and fix their partner. But anyone who's tried couples therapy with someone toxic or even emotionally abusive, or particularly a narcissist, knows that that is completely pointless. How can you work together towards a common relationship goal with someone who's most likely coercively controlled you to accept their emotional abuse and then blames you for it? A person who genuinely thinks that they are the victim of your abuse and projects everything you know to be true about them onto you. Oh my goodness, I saw this brilliant quote. It was an Instagram image, and it was a quote that literally said something like, a narcissist's accusations are actually their confessions. So true. Everything they accuse you of is describing themselves. And worse, they are arch manipulators. You know, so why would you go and want to have couples therapy with somebody like that? It doesn't work, because they manipulate the psychologist. You know, not long after I left my ex, and bear in mind, this was a man who almost murdered me, I got a phone call from a psychiatrist, and he was telling me that he wanted me to join my ex in couples counseling. And let me give you the context to this. My ex had actually tried to kill himself, and this doctor honestly told me that I needed to come to therapy because my ex's attempted suicide was a result of me leaving him. Yeah, you heard that right. He was blaming me for it. And, you know, I laugh now, but it was awful. You know, back then I was really young and vulnerable. And back in those days, that's how old I am. Back in those days, you know, we looked up at men in white coats as someone that you respected, deferred to, and that they were, you know, an authority. So it took me a huge amount to tell him that A, I was no longer my ex's wife, that I'd left. B, that I was taking responsibility for my side of the relationship by going to support groups and working on myself. And C, if my ex could beat me up for leaving the toothpaste lid off the toothpaste, then perhaps he should encourage him to take responsibility for his violent actions that led me to leave him in the first place. And literally, after I said that and hung up, I was shaking like a leaf. I was so traumatized by it. You know, so couples therapy with somebody emotionally abusive, controlling, narcissistic, it doesn't work. You'll end up just being subject to more manipulation, and it's just awful. The second reason is that what I find from my clients is that the therapist has not walked in your shoes. You know, the story I just told you was after I'd actually finally left my ex for good. But it took me 1 year to find the courage to do so. And so I know what you've been through leaving a toxic partner. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my entire life, because coercive control, which is emotional abuse, is actually a very powerful form of brainwashing. And codependency is a powerful drug too. You know, I became addicted to an emotionally unavailable man who had his own addictions, and withdrawing from that relationship really, really hurt. Not to mention, you know, on top of that, there's sort of a Stockholm syndrome like trauma bond that you develop in which you still love that person who hurts you. You know, and unless you've experienced this firsthand, how could anybody understand how I still loved and went back to a man who almost killed me? It doesn't make sense to anybody else unless you've been through any of this sort of even emotional abuse. And look, I know this sounds extreme. You don't have to have been in a violent relationship like me, but I also know that emotional abuse and just being in a controlling relationship can be equally confusing when you experience it. You know, so many women come to me and say, I don't even know whether I was in an abusive relationship. I'm not sure. You know, one of my clients just said that, and she's only come to realize now, having worked together, that she was. So it really helps if the person working with you to break free from this cycle totally gets how much that cycle can break you and have such a strong hold over you, and why you found it so hard to leave. You know, my client Norma told me that after 10 years of therapy, that was the very reason that I was the first person to cut through it and heal her, because I'd walked in her shoes. The third thing about therapy is they watch the clock. You know, on top of that, you're with them and they're against the clock. And anyone trying to recover from toxic relationships knows that there's so much shame, embarrassment, guilt, and self-blame involved. You know, to the outside world, you're a smart, successful woman who has it all together. And so to admit that your life is a hot mess that's hidden, you've got this secret life that's falling apart, it's not something that comes easily to you. You feel a lot of shame about it. I did. And let alone every time you've opened up and trusted someone with your vulnerability and your secrets, they've used that as a weapon to hurt you. So have you ever been to a therapist and just as you're finally finding the courage to open up and admit the truth, they announce the time's up? And then you know, when you get to see them again, another week or so, you've got to repeat that awkward process all over again of trying to open up whilst anxiously anticipating when the clock will tick to zero. The fourth reason why I think that therapy has failed many of my clients is that you're on your own, you know. And what I found to be true is that healing from toxic relationships, it's really hard to do alone, because, you know, you've spent years being gaslighted and told you're the crazy one. You've had them seed so much self-doubt in you. So you really do question yourself and wonder, you know, what's wrong with me? And even though your friends have done the best to support you, unless you've been through a toxic relationship yourself, it's really hard to understand. And then they just start to get sick of hearing you talk about it as you're just trying to process what happened to you. So they get sick of hearing it and you shut down and start to keep it to yourself, and you start to isolate from them after a while. I hear a lot of women tell me that. And yes, your therapist is there to listen, but only for the hour until the clock stops ticking, and then your time is up. And outside of that, you're back on your own. Unless you're part of a group therapy program or support group, you don't have any community of like-minded individuals who've been through what you have. And it really helps to know that you're not alone and that others feel the same as you do or have experienced what you're going through. More importantly, that you're not crazy or the only one who consistently attracts partners who hurt you. It really helps to know you're not the only one, because you feel, you look at other women, you think, what do they have that I don't have? Why do they keep attracting nice partners and I only attract the ones who really hurt me? What is it about me? And, when you're in a community of like-minded women who are going through what you've been through and are further ahead than you in their recovery, it not only lifts you up and supports you when you're struggling, but there's accountability too, because when you see the ones who are making amazing progress and they're the same ones who are doing whatever it takes to put in the hard work, guess what? And it inspires and encourages you to do the same. The fifth reason why I think that therapy has failed many of my clients, well, this is what they tell me, is that you talk and they listen. The most common thing that most of my clients who've come to me after years of failed therapy has said the reason it didn't work for them was that you talk, they listen, and then you've got to find all the answers by yourself. There isn't like a roadmap. There's no clear step-by-step plan. And it's more like a question. Well, what do you think? Have you ever experienced that? And that sort of keeps getting asked over and over again. And one woman said to me, if I knew all the answers, why would I be going to therapy in the first place? She was really frustrated by that. How can I know the answers when I don't even know what questions to ask myself, said another woman to me. And, this is the difference between traditional therapists and me. There is no way I will ever waste your time encouraging you to try couples therapy with a toxic or abusive partner, because it's never going to work. You're going to end up manipulated even more and hurting. It will hurt you even further. And the most important thing is it's not about them or the relationship. This is about healing you so that you can work out whether the relationship is good enough for you or not. It's the other way around. It's not about whether you can save the relationship and fix that person. It's about healing you first, and then you decide, is that good enough for me? What if they never change? As long as I live, is that good enough for me? It takes one to know one. As I said, I've walked in your shoes. I will never judge you for repeating a pattern of toxic relationships, because I did as well. And I also know how hard it is to break that cycle and the courage it takes to do so. So unlike many of your friends who are sick and tired of hearing about it and have no idea how to help you, I do. I'm absolutely living proof that not only can you break this cycle, reclaim your life as a young single mother, which is what I did, but you can go on to forge an incredibly successful career like I did in television, making documentaries for global networks in America, UK, like BBC, TLC, Discovery Channel, ABC. But I also found love that lasts, really healthy love with a man who makes me laugh, who I love, I adore. We like each other. We've got a lot in common, and he cherishes and adores me. So I'm absolutely living proof that you can break this cycle. And when you work with me, you become part of a small group who are all determined to heal from a toxic past and head towards an empowered future. You support, you lift each other up, you celebrate your progress, and you put the work in together because you're accountable to each other. And what happens is you grow together further and faster. Because I don't let anyone in my small group go into victim mode. In fact, I won't even invite anyone who's like that into my program, because I don't want you to be defined as a victim. You're not. You're a survivor. And I want you to have an amazing life despite it and because of it. I want you to be defined by your incredible vision of a future, not your past. And I give you a roadmap, the exact steps that I took to free myself from toxic relationships, fall back in love with my life, and I never settled for less than I deserved ever again. It's a really clear step-by-step guide to liberate yourself in life, love, and your career. And through a 360-degree program of online video modules, one-on-one video work with me, and group sessions with me, you have continuity, momentum, and just that really direct personal support. When I take your hand, I do not let you go until, I can see that you're making that progress. And because I'm about getting results, if I have a caveat, you have to put the work in. But if you put the work in, then I will really move you forward to that new vision and give you everything that you need to heal the past and quickly move towards, as I said, an empowered vision of your future, one that is absolutely filled with joy. Now, guys, I've had a few days off over Easter, but I've now opened up my diary this week for those of you who are serious about taking action today to heal your life. And as I said, my goal is to absolutely free women from a lifetime pattern of toxic relationships and to show you and your children what self-love and healthy relationships look like. But I'm really serious, and I'm not here to muck around. I'm not here. I had a woman who got on the call this morning who just really wanted some tips and for me to tell her whether to stay in her relationship or not. That's not what I'm about. I'm not here to tell you to leave somebody or not. I'm here to get you to a place where you're so empowered that you know exactly what relationship is right for you or not. So I'm not here to give relationship tips. I'm very happy to email you some, but that's not what these calls are about. So if and only if you are really serious and ready to do what it takes and to invest time and money into yourself to do what it takes to heal, then I'd really love to invite you to book a free call with me so that we can see if we're the right fit. And if we are, then let me change your life. Because, do you want to stay stuck in that toxic pattern of relationships? Oh, Tammy, hello, my love. Tammy says, I agree with that. And Tammy did exactly that. She booked a call with me. She came on. We had about 90 minutes on the phone together. And we decided together that it was the right fit. And she crossed a lot of fear, didn't you, Tammy, to take my hand and come and work with me. And we are now working together and already starting to give her the tools to free herself from this lifetime of self-limiting patterns of behavior that have trapped her in a cycle of these toxic relationships, one after the other after the other. And what's so beautiful about that is that, like many women, she's doing this for her daughter, because that's exactly what I did. I wanted to break the cycle so that I did not pass this down to my son inadvertently or subconsciously. So that's what this is all about. LB says, I'm absolutely getting tired of it. And Hetty, hello. It's really nice to see you and hear Hetty as well. I haven't spoken to you for a while. So it's really, really good to see you in here. So I hope that's helped. I'll put the link to book a call with me down below. And as I said, this is not for you if you just want some quick tips or advice about whether to leave someone or not, or how to fix a toxic relationship. I'm not here to enable anybody to stay in a toxic relationship and give them advice how to fix somebody who hurts them. That is not what I'm about. So you need to be absolutely serious, ready to invest time and money into yourself, put in the hard work to heal. And if so, then let's jump on a call and see if it's the right fit. All right. Nice to see you all today, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye for now.